welcome to Scorched Earth and the general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of October 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. Just before we get started, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is link number 1 in the description box. The second link in the description box is to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content and hang out with a truly extraordinary group of people. Excuse me. So if that's something that sounds like it may be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. Right, Taurus, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. I'm saying it like that because I've been getting some kind of Taurian foreshadowings for about the last fortnight, and I am truly very interested to see what this reading's got for you. So now I have 3 cards for Taurus, please. So we have your card showing up, the Wise One, or the Hierophant as it is in the Waite-Smith. Current energy, please, for Taurus. We have the Lovers and we have the 8 of Cups in your current energy, and then what's coming towards Taurus for October, please. I'm going to show you that because it flipped in the deck. We have the Death card. Let's move it over there. Go again. What's coming towards Taurus, please. Thank you. We have the Strength card. It's a card of Leo in the Major Arcana, as we have Taurus and Gemini here. We've got the Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So there's definitely new perspectives coming in. The Strength card is an interesting one. As I said, it's the card of Leo, and as a Leo, I always used to get horrors when I saw that card. Simply because in order to be representative of personal growth and development and all that kind of thing, it usually requires you to draw on your reserves of strength in some sort of way. But now I've got the doom bit out of the way, let's have a look and see what the clarifiers have got to say, because it could be actually it's something awesome that has you swimming nicely toward November. The Lovers card is a very nice card to have here. What's this? Let's get that off there. Right, tell me about the Wise One, please. Thank you. So we have the 10 of Cups in reverse, and we have the Tower. Tell me about the Lovers card, the 8 of Cups, please. We've got King of Cups in reverse. The Knight of Cups coming out sideways, and more, please. Thank you. And we have the Empress. The Tower and the Empress are the 2 cards that I've been getting shades of a lot, and even this morning when I sat down to do this reading, those 2 cards made appearances at me. Anyway, tell me about the Strength card. We need to know about the Strength card. Okay. We've got the 9 of Swords and we've got the Hermit with the 9 of Wands now at the bottom of this deck. So it's a little spiky all over, to be honest, Taurus. Before we get into the cards, if I can just give you the foreshadowings that I've been having for Taurus, there seems to be something really pivotal about your energy at the moment. There's been questions of what it is that you believe in and what it is that you feel worthy of fighting for, but also this sense of kind of pushing to the surface of something, being seen in a way that you haven't been seen before, and I must say stepping up perhaps in a way that seems obvious and natural but doesn't come necessarily with a state of ease attached to it in some sort of way. But let's get into the cards anyway. We have the Hierophant here, or the Wise One, as it is in this deck, as I said. And generally speaking, aside from indicating your energy, what we have with this card is a sense of commitment. We've got a sense of heritage and legacy coming together. You know, there's somewhat of the orthodoxy that is encapsulated within that card there. It's stable, it's secure, it has the benefit of age and experience, and there's a corresponding amount of wisdom that comes along with it as a result. But it comes to mean teacher, because it refers to that ability to be able to decode elements of, it's mysteries from the universe and stuff like that, but I do feel like it's environmental for you. It's not a sense of what's going on within, it's a sense of what's going on without for you. And this Ten of Cups in reverse can refer to the family dynamic, the family structure, all that kind of thing. But it can also refer to community and all those sorts of things too, in a way that I guess the Hierophant also has shades of, because there's no point being a teacher if there's nobody to teach, right? There's no point in being a decoder of the mysteries of the universe unless there's somebody to listen and pay heed and take that in. I feel like this is referring to a sensitivity to your environment, though. It feels like something has changed, and there's a little less of a feeling of comfort about it than one would hope. You know, obviously the energy of the Tower is really quite profound, and it does speak to some sort of change of direction. And it's given to be a pretty terrifying card. I mean, look at it. There's people falling out of towers and all sorts of things there. But the energy of the Tower is uniformly good. It takes you somewhere that you might not have gone otherwise. And, if this is something to do with a change in the family dynamic, perhaps where people's issues are coming up to the surface and it's causing tension, well, we could see how that would change a direction. But I feel like it's, like I said, I feel like it's kind of outside of you more than anything else. Now, it could be that you've picked up on the alteration of energies that are coming in. Maybe that's something to do with some of the planets coming out of retrograde or whatnot. But there's a discomfort here. And at this point, I'm not even sure if you can put your finger on what it is. It's like something in the environment has changed, something that was foundational and underpinning, and that might have been emotionally, certainly to do with, the group that surrounds you, whether it's your family or friends or whatever. But there's something... If I could put a word to the feeling that I've got, it would be the heebie-jeebies. And it's difficult to know where it's coming from. Now, some of you might think that you're just sort of randomly catastrophizing, but I feel like it's more directly related to your sensitivity than anything else. Let's Ten of Cups in reverse, please. Yeah, I've got the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is all about management of resources. I was going to say educational resources. That's not at all what I meant there. Energetic, there we go, thank you. Energetic resources. And the way that you seem to be shoring them up a little bit here. Now, your energetic resources can be money, of course, and just looking at what's going on out in the world, it would be a sensible thing to be making sure that your financial resources are all in the right place. But it's in terms of where your effort and your energy is going. Remember where energy flows. Now, where attention goes, energy flows, and all that sort of thing. I don't know, I get, it's a feeling like getting your house in order is what I'm feeling here. And it's because you've almost had this advance notice of things changing. So there's a welcome kind of preparatory ability that you're tapping into here that's come as a result of your sensitivity. But it feels like there's a bit of a sense of foreboding about it. Tell me about this tower. We have the oh fucking hell, we've got a ton of cards here. 8 of Pentacles, Strength card, the Star and the Magician, which are wonderful cards in isolation. Oh, actually, they're wonderful cards altogether, to be honest, and particularly underpinning the Tower, because then we have the, what I was saying before about the Tower being uniformly good. It's showing you a direction of work, right? It's giving you an indication that there is work ahead, and you will need to be employing your reserves of strength to deal with it. But it's taking you closer to something that you wanted to achieve than you would have managed if you'd stayed on the path that you were on here, right? There's almost a sense that some of you are kind of bringing into being, manifesting, if you will, a certain outcome. But it's not happening quite the way that you intended. We do have the 10 of Wands at the bottom of the deck here, and it does speak to burden. Maybe some of you are a little bit concerned about your manifestation ability at the moment. A conversation with someone that I'm close to a few weeks ago, and they were concerned that they were manifesting stuff that they didn't necessarily want. And I said, well, are you manifesting stuff, or are you just tuning into it? Is it precognition versus manifestation? And I think here that you might have decided that you've been manifesting something where actually really you're just picking up on the energies that are surrounding you, and it's giving you an opportunity to plan and prepare, or it has given you an opportunity to plan and prepare accordingly. But it's done very little to alleviate this difficult feeling that's sitting at the bottom of it. This 10 of Wands is a card of burden. It's a card of things being too hard. It's a card of actually kind of reaching the end of your tether with something. But I don't feel like it's sinking you at this point, Taurus, at all. Well, at any point, actually. It just feels like a weight. And with that weight around your shoulders, you're still trying to reach towards the star. But there's a sense of worry here that's underpinning all of it. So when we move into your current energy, we've got the Lovers and we've got the 8 of Cups. Now the Lovers is another card of manifestation. It's there. But it's here with the 8 of Cups. Now we can see this in 2 different ways. And one is that, whatever it is that you've been trying to do, it's almost like you got a memo from the universe that isn't the right way forwards. Now, change is something that, with fixed signs are not particularly good at navigating. It's part of our cosmic inheritance, if you will, the cosmic lessons that we are to learn. It's to be more flexible and whatnot. And so it could be that you're being called to leave behind something that you've been trying to manifest emotionally. But the other way of looking at it is that in order to get, oh God, there's a third way. In order to get with within the stream of conscious co-creation, you're going to have to leave something behind emotionally that you thought you were going to take with you. But maybe for some of you, what we're seeing here is a way that you've emotionally blocked yourself without even realizing that's what you were doing. We've got the movement here in the 8 of Cups, and there's always movements in any card numbered 8, right? It's the movement away, there's an empowerment that goes along with it, and you've got the 8 of Pentacles and the 8 of Cups here in the same reading. But the King of Cups is reversed, which suggests a closed down energy. Can also talk to numbing behaviours, Taurus. And those can take all sorts of different forms. You know, sometimes we can see the King of Cups in reverse, indicating drinking too much. You know, it's numbing behaviours. Sitting down in front of the TV every night and doing nothing would be a numbing behaviour. You know, drinking too much, even eating too much, or, you know, anything that stops you from feeling what you're feeling would fall into that bracket. And that's possible for some of you, like a recognition that you've done that. This Knight of Cups doesn't seem to know where to go with the emotions that he's got. You know, obviously he wants to be in the upright and he wants to be travelling that way. This way round, it would be a complete shutdown, but we've already got a bit of a shutdown, and then we've got a confusion about how this emotion actually moves at all. I want to try and narrow it down a little bit in my head as to which one of these is accurate. I mean, it could be that all of them apply to each of you differently. Tell me about this King of Cups in reverse. We have the Page of Cups, we have the Three of Wands, and we have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, there's a sense of things that you've been coping with. But actually there's a bit of a change of direction in terms of the way that you are actively approaching your emotions, or you need to actively approach your emotions, because the Page of Cups always takes something that exists and shifts it into a different direction. Right? That's how I read the pages. And that's, for me, what differentiates them from the aces. So we've got something that already exists that is needing to go in a different direction. And we've got this signet here who, you know, I would imagine believes itself to be an ugly duckling. We've actually got, you know, this rainbow here. There is something swan-like about what's going to evolve from the point that we're at now. But I think possibly what's required is some honesty about the level to which you are coping at the moment, because shutting down your emotions about particular things because you're confused isn't really the same as coping, and it's certainly not the same as growing and developing and you know, and actively going after the things that we want. Like, you feel to me like you're in a bit of a state of confusion at the moment, and it's because you don't have all of the information that you need in order to be certain about it, right? Fixed signs are always going to chase certainty, and I think that that's the very last thing that you have access to at the moment. So maybe actually what we're looking at here is the emotional response to uncertainty, and how, if we're going to get into the slipstream of conscious co-creation, the flexibility that I was talking about and the fluidity that I was talking about is really necessary part of that. Because this Empress card here, which is the other card of Taurus in the major arcana for me, it's actually Libra as well, because it's a card that's ruled by Venus, is somewhat the counterpoint to the Emperor, who is sitting at the bottom of the deck, right? These are a pairing here. Now we've got something almost innately chaotic about the Empress, because she is the divine feminine, right? This feminine energy of creation. But at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Emperor card, who is the divine masculine, but is also looking for order and structure. And it's like, for you to grow and evolve and develop into the Empress, so that you not only are able to decode the secrets of the universe, but you are also then able to create therefrom, from this position of wisdom and divine feminine energy. You have to strip out those things that are unnecessarily structured and unnecessarily ordered. And we also have then correspondingly that this uncertainty, how do I deal with this? I don't know how to do it. Now, the obvious starting place for me would be looking at where this need for certainty arose, because it does feel like it's hearkening from an earlier version of you who experienced uncertainty at a point in time where you were not equipped to navigate that, possibly because your parents didn't do it for you. I mean, in some ways it might have been overly structured, with the emphasis on coping and then achieving and doing well and all that kind of thing, at the expense of your emotions. It's like you're reaching for something higher than you currently have, but you're also completely fucking terrified of it, Taurus. Tell me about the Empress. Yeah. Well, show me a situation that would be very well described by the Five of Wands, if not that one there, right? I want a thing, but I'm desperately terrified of a thing, or I'm terrified about what it is that I have to do in order to reach that thing. You know, I've been in readings for the last 2 weeks, I've been describing what I feel is almost like a tsunami, it's hovering here. It's about to hit, and nobody quite knows what the aftermath of that is going to be. So they're the things that you're trying to do. There are the ways that you are trying to be, right? Trying to definitely embody this this Hierophant energy, strong, stable, wise. But it feels to me like you're perceiving how everything is changing and knowing that there is active participation from you required, but it seems to be touching something emotional in you that is frightened of letting go. And it's pulling in different directions for you, Taurus. You know, I mean, these two cards here could speak very clearly to simply the attachment to outcome. And if the Tower here is kind of wobbling around and you're getting a sense of that ahead of time, has your default reaction been to try and keep everything still? Which would be structure, which would be order, would be everything that the Emperor is talking about here. I mean, we've got the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. It speaks to the internal journey. It speaks to the answers being within you. And more often than not, the answers are contained within your history, within your past experience. You know, the thing that changes is our willingness to look back on these things with new eyes. And there's something here that you are, well, frankly, shit scared of, that is touching a really deep emotional part of you, and it feels like it's leading to confusion. So you're trying to be the Empress, you're trying to be the embodiment of all of these things, and instead of just stepping tidily into that role, we've got this Saturn in Leo card here. We've got that feeling of burden. It's almost like there's a little too much that's being asked of us right now. We do not have the tools to be able to deal with this. Well, the suggestion is here, I think, that you do, but the transformation, and we saw the Death card, it flipped very visibly in the deck, although it didn't come out. The answer to the issue is to allow yourself to change by following a different emotional path than the one that has snapped up as a default response. In the face of uncertainty, what do you do? Well, I'm a Capricorn ascendant, so I've got some earth energy flowing through my veins, as it were. And I know that in moments of crisis or moments where I feel like something is required of me, I tend to default into Capricorn mode. So I start planning the shit out of everything, and I write lists, and I need to make sure that everything is covered because I'm trying to get over there. But what I do sometimes in that is miss the obvious, which is that, you know, I am supposed to live in the moment too. I am allowed to enjoy things, right? That Saturnian kind of influence of, no, now you must suffer for delayed gratification and all that kind of thing is my default mode because I am trying to control what comes next. This wall of uncertainty that I feel that is getting ready to crash over everyone is saying that might have worked for you in the past, but the deeper transformations that are being asked of you, the way that you change direction properly, is by allowing yourself to explore the possibility of doing something differently. And that means confronting internally those things that currently make you feel anything other than settled and secure. It feels like it's taking you away from what you know, and by extension is leaving you feeling pretty rattled. And then we come to October, the Strength card. Like I said, I kind of got the EBGBs when I saw that. And it's not uniform, it's not across the board. But the first thing I thought when I saw that Strength card was the period of time in my life where the appearance of the Strength card made me go, oh fuck. I remember actually crying once when a Strength card came out in a reading that I was doing for myself, and just being like, fuck no, no more, please, no. Now, it has all of these other amazing qualities, you know, it speaks of, like I said, personal transformation, growth, all of these good things, all these things that we're all kind of instinctively leaning towards at this point. We're trying to, because we're being balls deep in our own work for a very long time. But the growth never gets any easier. I think we can recognize it more readily ahead of time when circumstances require it from us. But if it was an easy transition, if it was something that we could just pivot into, there wouldn't really be that much of a lesson in it. Now, October contains at least one situation, if not several, that are requiring you to consider the benefit of the pivot. Okay? And this is going to be something that is truly quite testing for you because, like I said, it's touching an emotional part of you that hasn't seen the light of day in quite a long time, right? Some aspect of you that is kind of closed down and like, no, don't know what to do about it, so I'm just going to dig in. Maybe I'm just going to be really fucking stubborn about this and just stick to my guns. It isn't necessarily suggesting that you need to immediately go into a state of compromise or anything like that. But it's saying, here's a situation that's going to show you very clearly, it's going to show it, like illuminate in sharp relief, something about yourself that is stopping you from ever truly embracing the energy of the Empress. And by definition, that's probably not going to be very comfortable. But at the same time, the beautiful energy of the Nine of Swords is that whatever it is that you are concerned about actually has less of a basis in reality than you think it does. It's like, it's not exactly that it's all in your head, but it's certainly mostly all in your head, you know. And in order to be able to discern fact from fiction, and fiction I would, you know, term as anything that is stopping you, anything that is, you know, has been a historic reaction that is stopping you turning towards what is opening up in front of you, would be fiction. The facts of the matter are, there's nothing here that you can't deal with. If you allow yourself to move into that energy of strength. Tell me about this Nine of Swords, please. We have the Nine of Cups, which is an interesting card. Indeed. Let's see what we got here. We've got the Knight of Swords. We've got the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So, like, notice we've got Page and the King and the Knight of Swords. We don't have the Queen. Not yet. She might turn up in the extended. But we've also got the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Now, that, yeah, you've got a little triad of nines going on here. And the nines for me are all about how we personally manage the suit that they represent. So we've got here how you manage your behaviours and your actions. What are you going to do, right? How are you going to dig in and be resilient in the way that is needed from you, right? And we might have, as an extension to that, the idea of boundaries and things of that nature. The Nine of Swords would be how you manage the thoughts that are going through your head. Now, 3 years ago, Taurus, I think you would have said, I can't. They just do their own thing, right? But you were very much in the thrall of the inner critic at that point, and very much weighed down by the expectations of society and people around you, you know, your family, your friends, your work colleagues, being driven by this need to be what everybody wanted you to be, rather than necessarily what you were. Now, 3 years on, the situation is very different. And whilst there feels like there's something incredibly triggering about this situation, I will remind you of what I say all the time, which is that your triggers are your friends, because they're what illuminate the fact that there is something here to work on. Now, remember, with all the best intentions in the world that we all have when we're trying to manifest a particular outcome for ourselves, we quite often do it whilst oblivious to the bigger lessons that the universe is trying to teach us. Like those things that would represent actual growth for our soul, rather than, you know, a momentary and fleeting improvement in material circumstances. There's something happening here in October which is shaping you and allowing you to more actively manage what is going on internally, and then by extension show up differently externally to you. So whatever change of direction the universe is trying to bring about for you here, working with the energies of the Nine of Cups, the Nine of Swords and the Nine of Wands, oh, that's interesting. I was like, hang on, I'm sure we've seen the Nine of Pentacles somewhere as well. We have. It's right here. So the Nine of Pentacles is the default. But the growth is in working with the other elements that you are less comfortable in navigating at this point. Right? The description that I gave of the way that my Capricorn ascendant kicks in when I smell a crisis on the horizon. Nine of Pentacles. Everything's got to be right, it's got to be in the right place, I need to know where everything is, and then I need to plan, and then I need to work really, really hard to make sure that all stays where it is. This is about the management of your emotions, though. And it's also about opening a direct link to those, such as you have not had. And when we talk about having a direct link to our emotions, we often, well, the implication is that what we like about that is the ability to be able to not be ambushed by something that's going on inside. I know what my emotions are. I understand that I am not my emotions and they can move around freely. They're transitory, they're fleeting, and they're not actually who I am. What I don't hear discussed so often is getting in touch with the negative emotions. You know, this is a card, they call it the wish card, right? It's your hopes and dreams and aspirations and all those kind of things. No, like the star card. has a similar level of interpretation to it. But when it comes to the management of these things, I mean, sometimes they're not going to need your management because everything's just going swimmingly. The question of how much of a measure, well, the measure of how much of a handle you have on your emotions and your emotional state is when everything is doing the opposite of what you want it to do. What happens in that situation? Because I feel like you're snapping into a default here somewhere, Taurus, when you're being given an opportunity to step out of it. Now, no situation that involves the Five of Wands and the Nine of Swords is ever going to be comfortable. But perhaps we shouldn't expect the involvement of the Nine of Cups to be all that comfortable either. Because the Knight of Swords, like I said, is opening up this channel of communication. And what we might have going on here is a realization that there's a particular thing that you've been attached to for a while, an idea of something, maybe a physical situation that you're trying to bring about here, that has come from a need to be comfortable. And the energies here seem to be jumbling you up and deliberately making you uncomfortable, so that this direct link that you have with your emotions shows you the other side of the coin, right? There's where the growth is. All the tools you need to grow are in the places you don't want to look. Is we've got the King of Swords here. There are decisions that need to be made. There are new perspectives to be engaged with. And there are decisions to be made off the back of this interplay here. It would be very easy to slip into that. But again, this means things aren't quite as bad as you think that they are. There's something that you're holding on to here that needs to be released. And the tricky part of October for you is actually identifying what it is that is causing you potentially to catastrophize about a situation. You know, the energy of the Hermit is very measured, it's very quiet, it's very still, he's listening. I mean, he's on a journey. But the journey is inward. And it's investigating the seat of the Nine of Swords so that we can decide, as in this case, which one of these swords represents a truth that we can pick up and we can use. Right? We can apply to our situation, we can make decisions from accordingly. The tension between these two cards is really quite interesting, because I feel like you want to pull in the direction of the Nine of Cups, but maybe again it's because that's representing what is comfortable for you, whereas the universe seems to be tumbling you into something that is uncomfortable to give you the opportunity to properly manage your emotions about the situation. It's like you're being given an opportunity to hide here if that's what you want to do, Taurus, but that will take you in the polar opposite direction to what the universe is trying to cultivate within you at this point. You know, I've said it for 4 years, but I'm going to say it again, like leaning into the uncomfortable at this point is the shortest, truest route. And that involves being radically honest with yourself about what it is that you're trying to achieve, and more importantly, why you are trying to achieve it. Because if the stability and the security that you're looking for is, for example, a trauma response from childhood, then all you're really trying to do right here is self-soothe. Just as when my Capricorn ascendant kicks in, what I'm trying to do is to prevent ambush. Right? You can't touch me. I'm working really fucking hard here on this thing. I'm going in this direction. And maybe if I put the blinkers on such that I can head in this direction, It's not that I won't get ambushed, but maybe I won't notice if things try to ambush me. I've just got to, maintain that dedication to a particular direction. And it's usually because I'm trying to hold on too hard to something. Trying to avoid something. It's to usually avoid feeling something. So in October, the question is, what are you being made to feel? And instead of turning away from it and retreating to where you are more comfortable, how can you rise to face what this is? And use what you find to help you make some really good decisions this month. It feels like you're jumping up 3 levels this month, Taurus, and that could be comfortable for a Sagittarius, but it's not comfortable for you. This is really interesting. I'm going to go and do the extended now. So you can join me on Vimeo or you can join me on Circle. If either of those sound appealing to you, you know what to do with the links that are in the description box. If you don't wish to come to the extended, I think what I'd like, if I could illuminate one thing for you to take away from this reading, it's feel the fear and do it anyway. You're going to be uncomfortable no matter what. So let's use this situation to get ahead. Because there's an instability here, and I feel like you've been feeling it coming for a little while. And instead of allowing yourself to catastrophize, sit with the situation and sort through how it's making you feel. And if you can, isolate individual situations in your childhood, or even just recognize the repetition of a pattern here and the repetition of the desire to engage in a default mode of behavior, and then choose to do something differently, there's a really powerful rapid evolution that's coming off the back of it. Alright, I'm going to leave it there. Sun is beginning to crest the horizon. And to the extended I shall go. So, know that I love you all very, very much, and you've got this. You've got it, Take care, and I'll see you soon.